All right, guys. So on this episode of Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff World, I have to give you guys a trigger warning because I may legitimately laugh my ass off during this entire video, okay? Because this right here really is a example of a man who is living in delusion, right? This guy, Cenk Uygur, may be the most delusional man on earth, okay? Because this guy has basically suggested that he is going to run for president of the United States against Biden, okay, in a Democrat primary to stop Trump from getting elected because he is scared to death of Orange Man taking back the White House by defeating Joe Biden, right? So he's saying that he may have to jump into the race because Democrats badly want another candidate, right? And this guy is so delusional that he believes that he can be that guy, right? The American people don't want Joe, right? But they want Cenk, okay? And it's just so hilarious considering how this guy got absolutely demolished the last time he tried to run for office in a California district, okay? This guy only got 6% of the vote, okay? He got absolutely destroyed. And this man thinks that he's going to be able to run for president, right? He thinks that he's going to have support. So without further ado, I want to react to this conversation because, again, this is just pure comedy to me, okay? So without further ado, let's get into it.
My last question for you, Cenk, is, like, how hopeful are you that we could end up with someone other than Joe Biden as nominee? Like, do you think, because you say, because you say, listen, Gavin Newsom's not going to run against him. That goes for every one of the corporate Democrats. I mean, Gavin Newsom is the one making the most, like doing the most right now, and it's very clear he's not going to jump in this race against Joe. So do you think there's a chance?
Look, here's the thing. Let's address Gavin Newsom. Okay, I'm very confused about Gavin Newsom. I don't know what he's going to do. On one hand, he comes out and says unequivocally, I'm not running. But on the other hand, he's essentially doing everything that somebody would do if they are gearing up to run for president, right? So it's very confusing. But here's what I think was happening. I think that Gavin is preparing to run just in case Joe Biden expires, right? If Joe Biden expires, I think at that point he may step in, okay? I think that's best case scenario. But I think what he's actually really doing is that he's playing defense for the Biden administration, and he's also playing offense for them as well too, okay? What he is doing by going to the Fox News debate, by taking on Ron DeSantis in the debate, by running ads in Republican states, by being all over the media, including Fox News, okay, and the mainstream liberal media, doing all these interviews, again, like he's running for president, is that he's essentially acting as the kind of shadow president of the Democrat Party, right? Taking away attention from Joe Biden. Because we know that Joe Biden and Kamala have thoroughly failed to articulate the wins of the Democrat Party in a way that is effective with voters, right? They have not been able to sell Bidenomics, okay? Now, you may be asking yourself, well, how can Newsom have the ability to sell Bidenomics if they can't? Well, that's a good question. I'm just saying, the more I listen to this guy talk, that there's a good chance that he's a absolute psychopath, right? But because he's a psychopath, he is the best talent in the Democrat Party in regards to just being a politician, which is just being a smooth talker, right? The best politicians are the smoothest of talkers, okay? That is politics, your ability to talk. And this guy, again, he's exceptionally talented in that area, okay? I mean, real recognize real. I'm just saying, this guy, he should not be underestimated. He's extremely slick. And this guy survived a recall in California. And California is an absolute disaster, and he's been able to essentially talk his way out of that, right? Okay, even though his state is a disaster, he can still talk his way around it, okay? And that ability is what actually makes a good politician. And Gavin Newsom has the ability, in my opinion, to play defense for the Biden administration by taking the attention off of Joe Biden. Again, I believe that this guy is basically the shadow leader of the Democrat Party at this point. He's most certainly the future, and he's playing a role that Kamala Harris should be playing. Okay, like Kamala Harris should be the person that's out here essentially taking over for Joe Biden, letting the world know that, hey, I'm up next. Like I'm that, boss, BITCH. You know what I'm saying? Like she's the one that should be doing that. But no, it's actually Gavin Newsom who is effectively doing that. And he's doing that light years better than what she's doing. Okay, Kamala's trying, but she ain't doing that well. She's not doing that well. And again, I think that may be part of the reason why you're seeing Democrats so reluctant to endorse her as Joe Biden's successor, even though she's in a natural role to take over for Joe Biden, is because she's not a very talented politician. She got destroyed in the Democrat primary, and there's a reason why. She's just not a great politician. So with that being said, I still think that Kamala will probably be up next if something happens to Joe. But I think we should not sleep on Gavin Newsom. I also think that Ron DeSantis probably made a mistake accepting that debate challenge from him, because I don't have confidence in Ron DeSantis at this point to take on Gavin Newsom, even though Ron DeSantis clearly has a policy advantage over Gavin Newsom. I would much rather see Vivek take on Gavin Newsom. But hey, Vivek's not the governor of any state, right? So hey, it is what it is.
Crystal, we are definitely in a unsolvable riddle.
Yeah.
Because the corporate Democrats say, I will not disobey. I will always bow my head. Right. And the progressives say, well, I can't run. The mainstream media will destroy me. They'll destroy my life. They'll destroy my career, et cetera, right?
Right.
So how do we get past that? That's why I'm desperate enough to think maybe I should do it. And I'll tell you why. Because let's say that somebody like me gets in the race.
Yeah.
The Democratic voters are dying for an alternative. They keep saying in every poll, for God's sake, give us someone else. Give us someone else. If someone like me were to get to 20 points, you have any idea how quick Newsom and Whitmer would enter the race?
So are you serious? You're seriously considering it?
God, y'all don't know how funny this is to me, bro. You don't understand how funny this is. The level of delusion from this guy is legendary, right? This is a legendary amount of delusion right here. This guy, Cenk Uygur, really believes that he would be a viable candidate in the Democrat primary. Okay, who's already in the Democrat primary? Cornel West, Marianne Williamson, RFK, Biden. Does anybody really believe that Cenk has a chance of polling higher than RFK, right? Because RFK, I mean, it depends on which poll you look at, but even he's struggling to get to 20% right now. Now, a lot of it's because RFK has just been smeared and like the mainstream media has decided just not to cover him anymore, right? So this is what they did to RFK. They lied on the guy, right? Smeared him to no end. Then they decided to black out any coverage of his campaign because they realized that, hey, the more we cover him, the more that people may look him up, they may like him, they may decide to vote for him over Joe Biden, right? That's what happened to RFK. Do you think there's any chance whatsoever that Cenk would actually start polling higher than RFK? The fact that this guy even believes, just for a split second, that he could get to 20% in a Democrat primary, presidential primary, shows you how delusional this man is, right? He's living in Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff world. Again, this guy got 6% of the vote in a Democrat primary in a liberal district out in California. In California. If you can't win out there, why do you think you can win on the national stage? Again, this guy's a far leftist. A far lefty really believes that he can get to 20%. Come on, bro. Again, the delusion is laughable.
Yeah, I'm considering it.
Okay,
And I'll tell you why.
Why hasn't it happened? RFK Jr. is at 20%. You know, Marianne's at like 10%, something like that.
No, but RFK Jr., first of all, he's not at 20 anymore. He peaked at 20 for a brief moment until Democrats found out he's not a Democrat. Okay. Then he went. Then he dove down. And Marianne got butchered by mainstream media. They made up things about crystals, etc. So
I want to be clear here about what Cenk meant about RFK's poll numbers falling because Democrats found out he's not actually really a Democrat. What he is saying is that RFK poll numbers fail because he wasn't far left enough, right? Because he has some views that align with the Republican Party because he's more towards the center. That means that RFK is not really a Democrat. He's far right. He's actually a Republican. He's a conservative. And that's why his poll numbers failed. That is what Cenk is actually saying. But what actually happened is what I just told you guys what happened is when the actual Democrat establishment decided that RFK is not a Democrat in the sense that he is not on board with the establishment, right? He's not on board with the establishment. Therefore, they smear him in the media and then they black him out, right? So that he doesn't get talked about anymore. Therefore, he gets no coverage, right? Again, they didn't even give RFK a chance to defend himself, right? They just smeared him as a vaccine conspiracy theorist, a nut job, Kugel for Cocoa Puffs. He's Alex Jones. And then they did give him an opportunity to defend himself and they cut him off, right? They blacked him out. So, I mean, that's what happened to RFK.
I love Marianne. You know, if she could somehow break through media, great, wonderful, etc. But it's taken a while and she hasn't broken through yet. So we need someone to be super aggressive. And if they, let me ask you this way: if you get again anyone, it doesn't have to be progressive, gets to 20 or 25, an outsider, right? This whole town panics and Newsom and Whitmer go in immediately.
I do think
is
there's
that
a possibility of
I don't know, because it already happened with RFK, and they just ignored him, and they went after him. And
that was before when they were convinced that Biden was going to win, and RFK, everybody knew was a flash in the pan because he's not really a Democrat.
Maybe.
But so, Cenk, tell me more about your thinking.
Yeah.
Timeline, what are you weighing? Right. How serious are you?
Yeah,
give us the details.
So I already thought about it before, and I rejected it because I know what they're going to do. You know, you're an outsider, radical. They're going to dredge up things from 1987 and when you were a junior in junior high school.
They already did that to you.
I think they did that to you.
Yeah,
that's right.
Of course. And look, if we're being honest, the number one problem is mainstream media.
Sure.
Mainstream media is the shock troops of corporate politicians, both corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans.
Yeah.
Their job is to eviscerate any outsider. So that's why do you think progressives aren't running? I've talked to at least half a dozen progressives and tried to convince them to go in the race. And they're like, I don't want my life ruined. Who's going to ruin their life? Joe Biden? He's in a bunker somewhere. No. It's going to be ABC and NBC and CBS and CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. They're going to go to any outsider and shred him to pieces.
Sure.
And I'm now so desperate for making sure that we win that I think I'm already destroyed, right? Like they've already attacked me 10,000 times, right? So come at me, bro. So Crystal, it's crazy for me to consider it, right?
Yeah.
But that's the times we're in. If literally no one else will do it. It's insane. So I don't want to go quietly into that good night. And right now, we are 100% on a track to go quietly into that good night.
So what's the timeline, as Crystal said?
Oh my God, this is so hilarious to me. Why is this so hilarious? It's just the fact this guy even believes that him announcing is going to do anything at all. Him announcing he's running for president, he's not going to even poll at 1%, bro. Like, I promise you, Doc, he's not going to fall at 1%. That's what really is getting me right now. This man thinks he can get to 25%, bro. He thinks he can get to 25%. It's not happening. It's just not going to happen. This guy is a lunatic. Okay? And again, part of the reason why is, yes, it's because of the media. The media is not going to give him the attention, right? But his progressivism has been thoroughly rejected, okay? Except in the most liberal parts of the country. But even in the most liberal parts of the country, they don't rock with this guy like that, right? So why would you think that the rest of the country would rock with you? You're like, Cenk is not that big, right? Cenk is, I mean, I'm just saying, he got as much clout as Cornel West. Like, let's keep it 100. Now, JFK, he comes from the Kennedy family. So, again, that's why he got the juice. But Cenk has nothing. He can't even win in his home state. Can't even come close to winning. But this dude's Trump derangement syndrome is so bad, it's so severe that it has clouded his judgment. it has made him he's went into a delusion that he might be able to get 25% of the vote in the Democratic primary, okay? Because he wants to force Gavin Newsom into the race. Because Gavin Newsom, in his mind, is the only person that can beat Trump, right? Because as of right now, Trump would beat Biden or Kamala, which he's right about that part. But again, his grand plan to try to stop that from happening is delusional. It really is. He needs to get checked out. He needs to go sit on somebody's couch. He needs to get an evaluation. Okay, the elevator's not going all the way to the top floor with this. It's just not.
So when are you going to decide?
No, if I'm going to do it, if anybody's going to do it, they got to go now.
Yeah.
Well, announce it.
Have you thought about staff? Have you thought about a plan? Have you reached, we know, donor networks, all those sorts of things. Have you started taking real steps?
So if you're going to run a campaign this late, you can't go traditional, right? Mm-hmm. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to collect endorsements from politicians. Oh, and I'm going to build up my base tiny bit. No, you got to go and hope for a grassroots tsunami. The good news is when I ran for Congress, it was a tiny little race. We raised like 1.3 million in 3 months. If anybody can raise money, it's me from the grassroots, right?
And you still got trashed. You still got destroyed. You still got obliterated. It doesn't matter how much money you raise, bro. People are not voting for you, dog. I can't wait. I cannot wait till this man declares, okay, and like officially declares, and he gets wiped out. I just can't wait.
And I'm a successful businessman, if I might say so myself. I have some credibility in running things, managing things, etc. So have I reached out to staff? I have, okay? Now, the problem is everybody thinks, well, how the hell are we going to beat
even
these
they
guys,
know, bro.
Right? So if I go in, it's going to be threadbare staff, threadbare website, and we're going to see, is there momentum? Because if there isn't momentum and people go, no, Biden, even if he's in the 20s, I don't care. I don't mind losing. I don't mind losing. You're being impolite, which is totally possible, right? So if that's
I think there's a decent contingent though.
Yeah,
I think that.
Yeah, and if that's the case,
look at Sarga's face, bro. Even Sarga knows. He knows this guy is delusional. I gotta screenshot this. This going in the thumbnail, bro. Like even they know, bro. They listen to this dude like this, bro. You a psychopath. You out of your mind, bro. You're out of your mind.
I think that.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then at least I left it all on the battlefield. Or whoever does it, for God's sake, don't make me do it. Like, have someone else run, right? But I can't get anyone to do it. And so I want to leave it all on the battlefield. And I don't want to say, well, like everyone else, I wanted to be polite. So we lost democracy because we thought it would hurt Mussolini's opponent's feelings, right? Does anybody remember Mussolini's opponent?
I don't actually.
Of course, no one does.
Yeah.
No one does.
Damn it. Yeah.
Okay, because Mussolini ran him over, and he probably sat on a couch just like Joe Biden is right now. You guys, and I know how mad Democrats get, and I know how mad media gets when you point out an iceberg. But we did it before. We pointed out the Hillary Clinton iceberg, and then they said, you made the iceberg appear. No, you knuckleheads, it's right there. The country, the voters despise the establishment. And they're like, so let's pick the most establishment candidates we can, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. Guys, he barely won last time. There's no way he's going to win now, let alone if Cornel West is in the race. And Larry Hogan's in the race, and these guys are in the race, then there's no chance at all. So, no, I'm not going quietly into that good night. So somebody better announce before I do.
All right.
Wow.
Well,
all right. Well, I never thought to ask you.
Bro, you better off having a ham sandwich announced than this guy. Again, this guy's living in a delusional world if he thinks that he is actually going to get any support whatsoever or affect the outcome or anything that Democrats do. Again, comedy. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.